Welcome back. This is part 2 of our JavaScript video series. In this video, we are going to create an event listener, change CSS with JavaScript, and create an if statement. Now, we developers commonly take advantage of the flexibility of JavaScript to add content specifically to each user and in response to a user's action. This is called an event. So in our case, we want the value of the name field in the form to be displayed after the word from in the preview section down here once they type it. So first, let's dive into our code here, and we're going to actually add 3 additional variables here at the top. We're going to slightly modify our complete preview function, and then we're going to add an event listener at the bottom. Now, you've watched me type a few variables now, so in order to make this video short and sweet, I am going to type these 3 additional variables at a little faster speed. Jam out to the music while I get it done. Okay, so I added the 3 additional variables here, the name field, the feedback field, and then for the form itself. And one thing to point out, if you're using Aptana or even Visual Studio Code, Notepad++, be careful about those quotes. If you type in one, it will automatically add the next one, and you can end up with additional or extra quotes. Or you can think you're deleting one and delete both of them. So what you should see if you're using a text editor like Aptana is a color coding effect. In the parentheses, it should be a different color. Okay, so now let's mess with our function. So here, instead of having return my name, we're going to delete my name within quotes to where it's just an equals and then a semicolon. And before the semicolon, we're going to put name field in camel case dot value. So we're telling it to return the name field value. We want it to be whatever name they put in that field. And then same down here, we're going to delete this that's in quotes. And then we're going to type in feedback field.value. And down here at the bottom of this function, the statement we used to execute it, we're going to go ahead and delete that. And then we're going to add our event listener instead. And that event listener is going to be form.addEventListener. And then within parentheses and quotes, change. After the quote, we're going to do a comma and then complete preview, comma false. And what this is basically saying is that when the field changes, it's the change, complete the preview, so that box at the bottom. Otherwise, if it's blank, return nothing, false. Now, before we save, it's always important to check out your code, especially with JavaScript. I say with all code, but JavaScript is very particular. So I'm going to go up here, and I already mentioned the quotes. I checked those out. They were good. Now I'm going to check. So we have class, ID, ID class. No such thing, right? Delete that out. Our complete preview, no extra spaces there. Name field value field, perfect. And then finally our event listener. Oh, beautiful. I was able to type and talk at the same time. Okay, let's save this and jump into our browser and take a look and see what it looks like. We scroll down and right now it's blank. So let's go ahead and try to type in a name and feedback and see what happens. Let's put in a famous YouTuber, Logan Paul, and then tab, and then in the feedback that he's known for saying, "Are you good, bro?" And then we'll tab that. And then let's scroll down and look, from Logan Paul, subject feedback, "Are you good, bro?" Pretty neat, right? That's what an event listener does. Let's try one more. Let's just put in my name, and then we'll put in web dev programming rocks. Tab down here. And look, see, now it's my name, web dev programming rocks. Awesome, right? So that is an event listener. Now let's change some CSS with JavaScript. We noticed that this preview section down here, it isn't particularly helpful until we have our users enter text in the form. So we want to change this CSS for the page to hide this preview section by default until they actually start typing in the form. Very neat, right? To do this, we're going to actually have to go into our CSS file and our JavaScript file. So first we're going to go into our CSS, which is our styles 2. And we're going to scroll down to the styles attached to our feedback preview, which is right here, feedback preview section. And at the very bottom, we're going to just add one more line that says display none. Basically, it's not going to show it. And then we're going to add a new declaration. We're going to call that classification show. And then we're going to open that up and we're going to type in display as block. And you might be like, well, wait a second, Melody, you don't have a classification called show in your HTML, so this isn't going to work. Just watch. Then let's dive into JavaScript here. And underneath our variable for our contact form, we're going to type in a new one. We're going to put in var feedback preview equals document.query selector. And then in parentheses and quotes, we're going to put in dot feedback hyphen preview, and that with a semicolon. And then down here, under our functions, we're going to put in feedback preview dot class name space equals space, and then in quotes, feedback hyphen preview show unquote, and then semicolon. And yes, notice here we say feedback preview dot class name, and then here in the value we say feedback preview show. That's the class name we created. So we actually don't even need to touch our HTML. We created a class in the JavaScript file. So let's save this and jump into our browser. And notice in this site here, we still see it at the bottom, although this field is blank. I am going to copy this address, and then I'm going to paste it into a new tab so we can start fresh. And then watch when we scroll down. Look, now it's not there. Ta-da! So it will not show until information is typed in it. And this time let's pick on Jake Paul, Logan's brother, also a popular YouTuber, and then tab, and look, ta-da, it's popped back up because now there's information being typed in it. And he says it's every day, bro. And there we go. And that's how we change CSS with JavaScript. Now finally, let's create an if statement. Because all of our fields here in this form are required, we want to go ahead and turn off the display of the submit button here until all the fields are complete. So they can't submit it until it's done. We can accomplish this by using a JavaScript if statement. So let's dive into our code here. And we're going to add another variable here at the top. So as you can see, our variables are starting to pile up. And this one's going to be var submit button space equal space document.query selector. Now you can see why this is the most common, right? And then within quotes, we're going to put our class submit button and then our semicolon at the end. Looks good. And then let's add our if function. So we're going to add it between our curly braces here in our function, but this time it's going to be if, and then within parentheses, form.check validity, and then empty parentheses, space, 3 equal signs, yes, and then the word true, and then a set of curly braces, and within those curly braces we're going to put submit button, camel case, dot class name equals, and then within quotes, submit button show, and then the semicolon at the end. Now with our if statements, our operators are the equal sign, which again is the assignment of a value. The 3 equal sign means equal. In other words, true if the value on the left is equal to the value on the right. And then you might also see an exclamation point and 2 equal signs. If you see that, that means true if the value on the left is not equal to the value on the right. Now kudos to those of you that were like, wait a second, we don't have a classification for the submit button. Doesn't that mean we have to do something in CSS? Yes, you are right. Let's jump into our CSS here. We're going to go up to our field set values and find where we have our submit button. Here it is right here. Beneath it, we're going to add a classification submit button. And then within our curly brackets, we're going to put display none with a semicolon. Let's save that. Now let's go into our browser and check it out. I'm going to grab the address at the top into a new window here. So notice here at the bottom, no submit button and no feedback preview pane. Awesome. It's exactly what we wanted. So here, first we put in a name, the preview comes up, but no submit button. Exactly what we want. And then with an email, it is smart. So if I try to start typing an email and not type the whole thing, it's not valid. It has the red border around it and still no submit button. With the feedback question, just put in hi there. That shows up at the bottom. And with the email address, if I finish it out, ivc@gmail.com, then we get our submit button because it's validated, it's filled out correctly, and it's ready to submit. And there you have it, folks. You have learned how to do multiple things in JavaScript in just 2 videos. Now you know how to create statements, functions, if statements, add event listeners, and change CSS, all with JavaScript. I hope you enjoyed this video. Next week is one of my personal favorites because we get to talk about embedding social media into our site. So be sure to subscribe and check that out. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you later.